not. Welcome back to First Things First. We are now joined, having a good time with Super Bowl champ Cris, my hometown guy. What's up? Shout out to Charlotte Latin. What's good?
Of course. Charlotte Latin's fine. It's got to represent on First Things
Y'all went
First.
to the same high school?
Well, no, I went to the Performing Arts School for the geeks down the street.
Well, see, everybody can't be perfect, man. Everybody don't get accepted to Charlotte Latin.
Yeah, but you got to. But if you're at the public school, you can go to the private school for some dates and some movies.
Exactly.
That's true.
Ain't nothing wrong
That's
with
a
the
good hustle. I like that. I like that. So now we're going to talk about the Vikings QB situation. Case Keenum led the Minnesota NFC champs to a 13-3 record. Backing him up was Teddy Bridgewater. But he hasn't played a meaningful game since that horrific leg injury before the 2016 season. Now, not to mention the guy who actually started Week 1 for the Vikings, Sam Bradford, whom they traded for a first-round pick. Now their new offensive coordinator says he won't leave a stone unturned when it comes to finding the QB that they need. So we'll go to our resident Vikings expert, Cris. What does the future hold for these three QBs that I just talked about?
Well, I think it's easy because we moved Sam Bradford from the beginning. Sam has the highest price ticket. Now, all the guys are free agents. Minnesota has the option on Teddy Bridgewater. I think they will definitely exercise that option. But they also have the ability, because the problem with NFL teams, when you get into having a franchise quarterback, that price tag that goes with it, that $20 to $28 million that eats up the salary cap. We have seen teams struggle trying to put a winner on the team. Seattle in particular. Man, they were really successful, Russell's first contract. But once you give him that second contract, then you have to start getting rid of people. So it's hard to win a Super Bowl when you're paying your quarterback that type of money.
Especially if he's not an elite top 5 quarterback in the league.
Well,
like, you can get away with paying Aaron Rodgers that. Probably.
Well, we haven't seen anyone do it. I mean, we saw Baltimore go backwards when they paid Flacco.
You saw Atlanta come close.
Now, the salary cap has gone up. The percentages have gone up. That right now you have a better chance to do it. But what do the Vikings have working for them? They don't have a franchise quarterback that they are getting ready to spend $30 million on. So they can, I believe, cure what they want by Teddy, horrific knee injury. Yeah. Exercise his option. Sign Case to a short-term contract, because to me, Case still has not proven himself that I'm going to invest $20 million in him over the length of 3 or more years. So I believe that they signed both Case and Teddy, and they battle it out with DeFilippo as the new coordinator. They battle it out, a healthy quarterback competition, and let the best man win. I think that's the best plan for the Vikings going forward to be successful.
Yeah, when you start looking at the Minnesota Vikings quarterback situation, I think, to your point, CC, you can go ahead and eliminate Sam Bradford. One of the issues with him is he just can't stay healthy. The best ability is availability. So we all recognize that he has the arm talent, but in his 8 NFL seasons, he's only started 16 regular season games twice, 16 full games twice. So I have to eliminate Sam Bradford. We got it from here. Thank you for your service. We're moving on. That brings us to Teddy Bridgewater. When you start looking at his contract situation, I know there was a little bit of a dispute on whether the contract would toll or not based on the knee injury that he suffered. He missed that full season in 2016. But if I can get Teddy Bridgewater back on a 5th-year option or a reasonable team-friendly deal, then I want to do that because I've got significant draft capital invested in him. He's a first-round draft pick. And, of course, with knowing the medical situation from Teddy Bridgewater better than anybody else around the league, I think I got a better chance of being able to extend him on a deal. I want to keep him around to see what that could potentially become. And if for no other reason, I have depth at the position. And we see what depth can do at the quarterback position with the Philadelphia Eagles and using Nick Foles to be able to get them to a Super Bowl. So that takes us to Case Keenum. Now, this situation has got to be a little bit of a fluid one for the Minnesota Vikings because I feel like they're stuck in this in-between space and trying to evaluate his compensation moving forward. Is this past season an aberration, or is this par for the course in terms of what we can expect for production for Case moving forward? So I don't know that I want to extend Case Keenum on a long-term deal. I'm looking for something more of a short-term option. Is that going to be the transition tag for $21 million? I don't know if I want to do that.
Seems like a lot of money.
I would go, if I was going to do it, I would go with $23 million. And I can understand why the Minnesota Vikings would want to assure themselves that they're tied to a quarterback going into the new league year. But for $23 million, and I'm keeping in mind I've got $50+ million in cap space, I might go big game hunting in free agency and look at an option like Kirk Cousins.
All right, so I was going to mention Kirk Cousins. Before I do that quickly, because you mentioned a different name in Nick Foles. I just want to ask you guys this before we get into the Cousins part of this. Who do you think right now is a hotter commodity? Case Keenum or Nick Foles, league-wide? Right now, if you both were available, I understand Foles not a free agent, but
we're all prisoners of the moment, so I would say Nick Foles. And considering that he's on team options through 2021 at $7 million a year, that's probably more attractive to me if I'm looking for a quarterback, and one of the two would two would be available.
But if you judge it on the full body of work, Case Keenum was a better quarterback.
I agree. So I think Case is better. I don't know. I'm not sure if people will be a prisoner of the moment. You mentioned what they would do with Case. It's risky. But what I think I would do with Case Keenum, if I were running the Vikings, if I were Rick Spielman, I would go to them. I would go to Case's agent and say, "Hey, go see what you can get. Go find out what the market for Case is, and come back to us." Like, now, sometimes you do that, and the guy signs before he comes back to you. But given his success there, given the weapons they have, given the fact that it seems like Case enjoys being somewhere he's finally wanted, I don't think they would go somewhere and not bring it back to Minnesota. I would want to find out, what is the market league-wide for Case Keenum, and is it worth it to us? Because what you're mentioning is, when you mention Kirk Cousins, if you bring back Teddy on the option, and he's making $9 million, and then you sign Case, so call it $18 million. Now you're at $27 million for your quarterback, and you're wondering, would we have been better off just signing one quarterback, Kirk Cousins, to $27 million? They do have the cap space. Now, that drastically changes the dynamic of the team, but Kirk Cousins is the X factor. We keep assigning Kirk Cousins to bad teams. Like, hey, could the Jets sign him? Could the Broncos sign him? What about a ready-made 13-3 team where he would obviously be their best quarterback? That is an interesting option.
And playing indoors with a great defense. Like Kirk Cousins, if he puts up the same numbers with the Vikings are going to be a Super Bowl contender as long as because they got a defense. They wasn't just good this year. People paying attention. They've been in the top 5 the last 3 years. I got to go back, Nick, on one of my things. When I'm presented new information, you guys say we're going to put Case out there free agency. Somebody take him, I got to bring Sam Bradford back into the mix. Because then I might be able to accomplish what I want. Sam Bradford, an NFL record as far as completion percentage in 2016. Is that accurate or not?
It was the record. Cris just broke it.
Yes. Yep. So now Sam Bradford is very comfortable in throwing and being with the personnel. I bring Teddy back as a backup because of the knee injury. The thing Teddy has going for him, to a man, Teddy is the leader of that football team. I don't care how good Case plays. I don't care about Sam Bradford. I've been in that locker room. These people respond to Teddy Bridgewater, and his story is very compelling to the other players.
And that's why I would want to bring back Teddy Bridgewater, because people forget that he was an ascending player in 2015. He was a Pro Bowl player, and the arrow was pointed up. So I want to give that
had
a
played
chance
well enough to
be
get him to a victory over Seattle, but Blair Walsh, the kicker, blew it.
Yes, yeah, exactly. So I want Teddy Bridgewater to be a part of the quarterback equation for the Vikings moving forward. But again, when you start looking at the potential suitors for Kirk Cousins, the Vikings can offer him something that everybody else can't. There's only 6 teams that have more cap space than the Minnesota Vikings, and 2 of them are going to be looking for a quarterback. You mentioned it, the Browns and the Jets. They can't offer Kirk Cousins a ready-made defense. The Minnesota Vikings were 60 minutes away from going to the Super Bowl.
2,000
So
yards.
if you bring in a quarterback, and in my opinion would be an upgrade at the quarterback position in Kirk Cousins, that team is right there. So with a young roster, you recognize you're not going to be able to keep everybody together, especially on that defensive side of the ball, forever. But you got a couple of seasons. I think you go ahead and take advantage of this window by going after a guy like Kirk Cousins if you're going to spend $20+ million a year on a quarterback.
All right, with that, Cris Canty, stay with us. Now, are NFL teams about to start copycatting off of the Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles? That's next on First Things First.
Lane Johnson.
Nice little dance.
Let's do that.